And so we meet again. No, Uther. That is not how this must begin. I owe you an apology, Commander. When last we met, I intended to explain myself. Fate, however, intervened.
You experimented on.
I restrained you, only to prevent the misunderstanding that occurred with the rest of your order.
Misunderstanding? Is that what you call it?
I sent the Withered to ask for the Grey Warden's help. I should have anticipated that you might view our approach as an attack. I am rarely able to judge how your kind will react. It was most unfortunate.
You want our help for what?
My kind has ever been driven to seek out the old gods. This is our nature. When we find one, a blight is begun. Each time we attack your surface lands and you fight back until we are defeated. To break the cycle, my brethren must be freed of their compulsion. For that, I need Grey Warden blood.
Why do you need Warden's blood?
In order to become what you are, you drink the blood of my kind. To transform. Similarly, we must transform. I have created a version of your joining that uses the blood of Grey Wardens. You take the taint into yourself. What we take is your resistance. That is how my brethren are freed. In your blood lies the key to their immunity against the call of the old gods.
I like my blood where it is, in my veins.
How do Darkspawn change afterwards?
Once they are freed, the Darkspawn think for themselves. They speak, they act. Some, however, have reacted poorly. They are flawed and they rage against me. The Mother gathers them to stop me, as she seeks to stop you. I cannot defeat the Mother alone, and I cannot free the Darkspawn unless she is defeated. Our goals are the same.
Kill this creature now, lest it makes things worse than they already are. Do what is right, and do not waver.
This reeks of stupid. The last thing we need is more Darkspawn thinking for themselves.
Help me kill the Mother, and after it is done, I will leave to continue my work.
How do you become free?
I was born as I am, an outsider amongst my kind. Why? I do not know. Why do some of your kind become Grey Wardens? Why do some possess magic? I have no answers.
Perhaps the other Darkspawn don't want to be free.
And how would they know when the choice has been deprived of them? Without choice, there is only one path before them, and that leads to the Blight. I believe there is another way.
This is a hard... Oh my. What is the mother exactly?
My most flawed creation. Freedom drove her mad, and she has poisoned the minds of the others. She has influence with the ones who have not been freed, and she gathers them as an army. I do not seek to rule, my brethren. I only seek to release them from their chains.
Stealing blood from wardens is perverse.
I thought it little different from your order's use of darkspawn blood. We both do what we must in response to the Blight. The first blood came from Uther, freely given. She was a Grey Warden, as you are, and joined us many years ago.
Very well, you have an ally.
What if he's wrong? What if this doesn't stop the Blight, but makes something worse?
No! No! This is a monster! I can't let you do this!
Do you want to stop blights once and for all?
I do, but... I hope you know what you're doing.
Sigrun may agree, but I do not. This monster murdered countless Grey Wardens. They must be avenged.
You'll have to trust my lead, Justice.
I cannot trust it, but I will follow it, for now.
Thank you, Commander. I realize what a leap of faith this is for you. I hope that I prove worthy of your trust. The Mother lies ahead, Warden. I cannot approach her physically. Her children protect her from my power. But when you reach her, I will do whatever I can to help you. You have my promise.
The Darkspawn have sensed us.
Where is Sigrun? You know, if the game would like actually fucking tell me.
By the Maker!
Bandages.
Interesting concept.
Bandages.
Alright, let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Very well. As you say.
Now the pieces fall into place. The Grey Warden comes, the instrument of the Father. Oh, and the Father, he is but a shadow. Oh, how my children protect me. How they love me.
I have told you many times, Mother. I am not the Father. I am simply the Architect.
It does not change what you are! You took away that beautiful music, left us with nothing.
It was a mistake to free you. It has left you with madness. I am truly sorry.
But perhaps the Warden would like to hear how it was that the Father began the Blight. You want the source of the Archdemon? The one who brought all our kind to the surface? Here he is!
I was correct. All of these creatures are irredeemable fiends.
Ah, there it is then. Unfortunate. I did find the old god Athemiel, but I did not wish another Blight. I attempted my joining ritual. My hope was that this would free all Darkspawn, unravel the curse from its source. Alas, I was unlucky. Is it not the way of the Grey Wardens to do what must be done, in the name of combating the Blight? The Blight is a menace, both for your people and for mine. To end it requires sacrifice and risk.
And how lonely the father was. How terrible to be the outcast, the outsider. He claims he wishes the Darkspawn to be free, but what he truly wants is to correct them.
However you feel about what I have done, the Mother is mad. She cannot be allowed to...
Begone, Shadow! You cannot harm the Mother any more than you already have. And now the hero is alone. Oh, the Mother knows your ways. You will not let her be, no, not after what she's done. So it must end. It all must come crashing down! Perhaps we will hear the song again when we die. Oh, let it come. Let it come.
As you say, I shall leave. It is begun. Very well.
Damn, that's the one person I needed alive because he can res people. Looks like we'll have to do that again real quick.
It was a mistake to free you. My hope was...
The Darkspawn has faced us. Very well.
Okay, there went Anders. And with that death, here we are at the end screen. After the death of the mother, the remaining Darkspawn forces scattered and fled back into the deep roads. The raids on Amaranthine came to an abrupt end. The architect apparently kept his word, gathering his remaining disciples to follow the rest of their kind back underground. Those Grey Wards and other nations were appalled to hear of the architect's continued existence, but were unable to track him down despite years of effort. Some within the Order have claimed that the architect's survival guarantees another blight, and yet the deep worlds have lately been quieter than any can recall. Most have resignedly decided that it is now in the Maker's hands. Word of the Grey Warden's heroic salvage of Amaranthine spread like wildfire. When the magnitude of losses of Vigil's Keep came to light, sympathy drove generous donations from all of Ferelden into the region's coffers. Amaranthine was restored to a firmer glory within a year. Vigil's Keep in 5. Because of the Warden's support for law and order in Amaranthine, Constable Aiden and his men were able to distribute the smugglers' goods to the battered survivors in the grueling days that followed the Darkspawn's defeat. The Darkspawn messenger, set free after joining the Warden's battle in Amaranthine, struck out on his own. The city soon buzzed with stories of a cloaked, lisping figure who aided travelers in danger. At the same time, reports of isolated cases of Darkspawn disease emerged. No one connected the two. The Arling's peasants suffered greatly during the war, and suffered yet worse in the years to follow. Success at the first riot at Vigil's Keep emboldened them, and thus other uprisings followed, often put down with brutality. Although the war devastated many farms in the Arling, all agreed the loss would have been greater without the soldiers for protection. The farmholders developed a certain reverence for the Warden commander, as well as an ongoing reliance on the Grey Warden for order and protection. Dirk, one of the pranksters behind the Blight Orphan scam, was fortunate enough to survive the Battle of Amaranthine. The unconditional generosity of the Blight Orphan's mysterious benefactor inspired him to establish a legitimate charity dedicated to children orphaned in the attack. His sweetheart, Melisse, eventually bore him 2 rascals. Vigil's Keep stood alone against a horde of Darkspawn. The Mother's fortress outnumbered the Vigil's defenders many times over. But the sturdy dwarven walls proved impervious to any boulder an ogre could throw. The Vigil soldiers, clad in silverite, each felled a dozen Darkspawn before they died. The Vigil held 1 night, then 2, then a week, and eventually the attacking horde broke upon her walls. The keep developed an almost mythic reputation. The few survivors are immortalized in song and legend. The Vigil became a trading hub, which would soon eclipse the city of Amaranthine, with traders reassured by guards and continually patrolling the pilgrim's path. But prosperity bred scheming and treachery between merchants and nobles, testing the commander's patience for years to come. Peace allowed the Wardens to replenish their numbers. Soon, Vigil's Keep bore a capable army of Wardens at its core. From their ranks emerged new heroes to challenge threats to Amaranthine and all of Ferelden. Through taxes and levies, the vigil was rebuilt. Years later, Valdric Glavenok stood on the battlements and pronounced that the defenses were acceptable. He would never speak more highly of any human engineering. Dark whispers of conspiracy against the Wardens fell silent after a rash of accidents and disappearances culminated in the apparent suicide of Ban Azmoral. The nobles of Amphion remained dutiful. Some even suggested they were cowed into submission. Among the many legends, the Vigil spawn was one of the great heroes of the next age, a sheepherder turned soldier by the name of Sir Alec the Valiant, who eventually founded an order of knights that lasted 1,000 years. The commander's blade, Vigilance, crafted from the bone of an ancient dragon, was boldly stolen by Antivan crows. The blade changed hands many times thereafter, with some master swordsmen pursuing the weapon their entire lives. Some claim this legendary blade had a life of its own, and its power is steadily growing. Dworkin Glavenak further refined his lyrium sand explosive, but left the Warden's employ after Kunari mercenaries tried to assassinate him. Although the Dwarven Bombardier took his secrets with him, they say the learned say he left clues for others to follow in his footsteps. The Vigil soldiers, wearing the distinctive silverite armor that Master Wade crafted, came to be known as the Silver Order. Under the tutelage of the Wardens, the Silver Order developed into Ferelden's most revered military forces, and a lasting memory to the Vigil's famous commander. With Valenna and the Architect gone from the region, the Pilgrim's Path began to see traffic again. The massacre of the militiamen and merchants, however, led to hostilities between neighboring human settlements and any Dalish clans that passed by. One human villager soon kidnapped and murdered Dale's child. The clans reacted by giving the Wendon Wood a wide berth, but both sides knew that at some point the elves would return for revenge. A few years after Kal Haral was emptied of Darkspawn, Orzammar began spending expeditions to rediscover the knowledge of smithing that had been lost within the Taig. Eventually, House Helmi decided that Kal Haral was too important to be abandoned, and at tremendous cost of Dwarven lines they cleared the tunnels leading to Kal Haral of all Darkspawn, making the road between Orzammar and the fortress safe again. Kal Haral was claimed for Orzammar once and for all. In time, the Arling began to forget the tales of apparitions in the Black Marsh, and ever slowly, settlers drifted into the region. Scholars said the Veil was still thin and thus areas still dangerous, but the people only cared that there was no longer frightening whispers in the shadows. The village was slowly rebuilt. Twice, the Baroness's mansion was rebuilt and occupied, once by a wealthy merchant and another time by an Orlesian mage. Both died mysteriously. Afterwards, the mansion was torn down completely and the site left untouched. Anders remained with the Grey Wardens a few years longer, training the Order's next generation of mages, but when the Circle Coward called on him to deliver a lecture on the nature of the Architect, much to the Templars' dismay, Anders told the commander of the Grey that his time with the Wardens was over. Now that Anders was no longer a Warden, the Templars declared him apostate and began a search. The closest they ever came to finding him was a rumor that he joined the crew of a merchant ship with a certain female captain. When the walls of Vigil's Keep were breached, the surviving defenders watched in horror as a section of the stone walls collapsed upon Valenna. When the rubble was cleared, however, there was no body. She was gone. Nathaniel managed to survive the battle at Vigil's Keep, leading a spirited defense in the last minutes to protect his family home. The ferocity impressed many of his soldiers, who hoisted them to their shoulders and paraded him around the courtyard. When the battle was done, after spending a number of years within the Wardens, Nathaniel realized the life was not for him. He disappeared from the barracks one evening, reportedly off to seek his fortune outside of Ferelden. Once the Darkspawn threat was ended, justice left the Grey Wardens to pursue other injustices. Years later, he appeared on the doorstep of Kristoff's widow and, smiling, simply dropped dead. Aurora finally had a body to mourn. If the spirit itself remains alive, it has not shown itself. With the mother dead, Sigrun seems to lose her purpose. She withdrew from her friends in the Order and spoke to them less and less each day. One morning, Sigrun was simply absent. Her bed made, her trunk emptied. A young recruit who had been up in the night said she had left for her calling, gone to finish what she started in Kal Haral. At the Vigil's Keep, Oghren rallied a last-minute defense of the gate, taking down 2 ogres simultaneously to allow others time to regain the courtyard. He eventually passed out from blood loss. When he awoke weeks later, nobody was more surprised than he to discover he had been credited as a hero. Oghren continued to regale young Warden recruits with tales of his prowess on both battle and bed. His drinking games prompted at least one recruit to declare that she'd rather reattempt the joining than lift another mug. Felsi returned to Vigil's Keep several times to see Oghren, usually bringing their toddler as well. Ogren's inability to act seriously wore on her, however, and her visits dwindled, then stopped altogether. Oghren missed her child, misses her or his child it never showed. As for the savior of Ferelden, she did not remain a commander of the Grey for long. The Darkspawn were no longer a real concern. The blight was well and truly over. It was time for her to move on. She returned to life at court, resuming her duties as Queen of Ferelden and receiving a hero's welcome when she rolled back into the capital. King Alistair awaited her at the palace gates, grinning from ear to ear. Some years later, the savior of Ferelden vanished entirely. Nobody knows for what purpose she departed, yet neither does anyone think her tale is complete. Alright everyone, and that is the end of Dragon Age Origins Awakening. After this, there is Stone Golem, I think it's called, or something, and then there is Witch Hunt. And then we will watch the cutscene, or the credits. But yep, that's all for Awakening, and then the next one will be starting, I believe it's called